You wake at 3 a.m., heart pounding, mind consumed by one terrifying thought. What if you lose it all? Every financial decision feels like standing at a cliff's edge, paralyzed, while the world moves boldly forward without you. Your savings sit idle in a low-interest account, quietly shrinking against inflation. Yet every thought of moving them fills you with dread. You watch others invest, build portfolios, and take risks, wondering, are they fearless, or do they simply know something you don't? The fear of losing money is not weakness. It is one of the most powerful, deeply human emotional forces ever documented. It freezes your decisions, disrupts your sleep, and quietly costs you far more than any single investment loss ever could. While you hesitate, inflation silently erodes your purchasing power, and every year of inaction compounds your regret rather than your wealth. You carefully calculate every possible loss, yet rarely consider the devastating compounding cost of never having invested at all. The paycheck arrives, the bills are settled, and what remains sits untouched, protected from markets and from any chance of growth. You dream of financial freedom, of owning your mornings and your calendar, yet fear builds an invisible wall before you. Deep inside, you sense the truth. Staying perfectly still is not safety. It is a slower, quieter form of financial loss. You have watched others build remarkable lives, not because they were smarter, but because they chose courage over comfortable paralysis. The gap between where you stand and where you want to be is not closed by information alone, but by action. Today, something shifts. A quiet but powerful question begins to form, one that is about to change your financial life entirely. What if the greatest financial risk you ever faced was not the market itself, but your own unexamined, paralyzing fear of it? Behavioral economists have long confirmed that human beings are not rational financial actors. Fear governs decisions far more powerfully than logic does. Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman proved that people feel the pain of financial loss approximately twice as intensely as the equivalent pleasure of gain. This phenomenon, known as loss aversion, is not a character flaw. It is a deeply wired evolutionary survival mechanism in every human brain. For millennia, a wrong decision meant death. That ancient neural circuitry still silently governs every financial choice we face in modern life. The wealthy are not immune to this fear. They have simply learned to identify it and refuse to let it govern their capital decisions. Research on ultra-high net worth individuals reveals one consistent trait. They reframe risk not as danger to be avoided, but as information to be managed. Where the average person sees market volatility and feels panic, the sophisticated investor sees assets at a discount and feels disciplined opportunity crystallizing. This is not recklessness. It is capital intelligence, the disciplined art of separating emotional reaction from strategic financial response in moments of pressure. As Morgan Housel observed, the psychology of money is less about complex spreadsheets and more about behavior, patience, and deeply held personal belief. Financial fear creates a cognitive bias known as status quo preference, a mental anchor making inaction feel deceptively rational and comfortably safe. The status quo is never static. While you stand still, inflation moves, markets evolve, and idle capital silently surrenders its purchasing power. The world's greatest institutions, sovereign wealth funds, endowments, family offices, never debate whether to invest. They ask only how to allocate capital intelligently. For institutions managing generational wealth, capital at rest is not safety. It is deferred opportunity, a resource failing to fulfill its productive purpose. The 1% understand asymmetric risk, making calculated bets where the potential upside dramatically outweighs any carefully bounded, strategically managed downside. A venture capitalist expects most investments to underperform. They build systems where one extraordinary winner covers every calculated loss many times over. This is strategic risk architecture, deploying capital where bounded downside and asymmetric upside create a profoundly favorable long-term compounding wealth equation. Wealth preservation and wealth creation are two distinct disciplines, both essential, working together like two wings of a single perfectly engineered financial aircraft. The disciplined wealthy do not chase returns. They build systems generating consistent compounding growth across every economic season, market cycle, and financial landscape. Capital efficiency is the quiet engine beneath every great fortune, ensuring every unit of deployed capital works at its maximum long-term productive potential. When fear governs decisions, capital becomes profoundly inefficient. It retreats to perceived safety, earns almost nothing, while opportunity cost accumulates. High-performing institutions think in decades, not quarters. Their philosophy is rooted in patience, diversification, and deep respect for the mathematics of compounding time. The greatest investors share a defining quality: comfort sitting with uncertainty. They understand that volatility is the price of admission for superior long-term returns. Warren Buffett noted that markets transfer wealth from the impatient to the patient. Patience does not begin with knowledge. It begins beyond fear. Financial fear distorts risk perception dramatically. We catastrophize unlikely losses and overlook the very real, compounding cost of prolonged inaction. Risk is not the enemy. Unmanaged, emotionally driven, fear-governed risk is the enemy. The solution is not avoidance, but the intelligence to navigate confidence. Diversification is a philosophical commitment to humility, an acknowledgement that no single asset, sector, or prediction deserves your complete, unguarded. The sophisticated investor accepts permanent uncertainty. Markets always carry risk. The question is whether that risk is guided by strategy or surrendered to fear. Economic history consistently shows that investors who remained positioned through periods of maximum fear outperformed those who retreated to the perceived comfort of cash. The 2008 crisis, the 2020 pandemic, every historic downturn was followed by extraordinary recoveries, rewarding those disciplined enough to hold their strategic. Understanding why fear exists is the first act of mastery. Refusing to let it determine your financial future is the more powerful and transformative act. Think of a well-constructed portfolio as a living ecosystem, each asset class performing a vital role in a beautifully balanced, self-sustaining financial environment. Just as a forest requires diversity to survive drought and storm, a resilient portfolio requires diversification to endure recession, inflation, and the flywheel effect, an engineering concept popularized by Jim Collins, offers a perfect metaphor for how patient, disciplined investing builds unstoppable compounding. A flywheel is difficult to move at first. Each consistent push builds momentum until the wheel spins with its own extraordinary, self-sustaining force. Investing mirrors this precisely. Early contributions feel small, early gains seem modest, but compounding momentum given enough time becomes an almost irreversible. Passive income streams are the oxygen of financial freedom, systems designed to generate economic value continuously, whether you are working, sleeping, or traveling the world. A dividend portfolio distributes quarterly profits. A rental asset generates income while you sleep. A digital product sells globally without your daily presence or effort. The difference between financial anxiety and financial freedom is not income level. It is the number of independent income streams working regardless of your daily labor. Dollar cost averaging is perhaps the most elegant antidote to financial fear. Like water carving through stone, consistent investments erode volatility and build wealth. By investing fixed amounts regularly, the intelligent investor naturally buys more shares when prices fall and fewer when prices rise. Averaging cost with compound interest, which Einstein reportedly called the eighth wonder of the world, rewards those who understand it and relentlessly extracts from those who do not. A dollar invested wisely at 25, compounding consistently at a reasonable rate, becomes exponentially more powerful than the same dollar invested 20 years later. Time is not merely a factor in wealth building. It is the single most powerful asset available, and fear steals it one hesitant year at a time. Asset allocation is the master discipline of sophisticated wealth management. The architectural decision of how capital is distributed across equities, bonds, real assets. Research consistently demonstrates that asset allocation accounts for the vast majority of long-term investment performance, far exceeding the impact of individual stock selection or market. Think of your financial portfolio as a great architectural structure. Diversified asset classes are the load-bearing walls. Remove them and even the finest plan collapses. Risk management is not about eliminating risk. It is about understanding, measuring, and sizing each position so that no single outcome is ever catastrophic. The professional investor uses position sizing as a foundational discipline. No single bet threatens the entire portfolio. This is calculated confidence, and it is rebalancing restores a portfolio to its intended allocation. Disciplined selling of what has grown and buying of what has lagged, enforcing the timeless principle of buy low. Every successful wealth building journey includes a personal investment philosophy, a written framework governing decisions in moments of maximum market fear and minimum rational clarity. Money, seen through the lens of freedom, is not the destination. It is the finest instrument available for engineering the most scarce modern resource, time. Time arbitrage is the ultimate wealth strategy, deploying capital intelligently today to purchase future time, the freedom to decide exactly how every future hour is lived. The truly wealthy do not sell their time. They have designed systems, portfolios, and businesses, generating value continuously, independently of their daily personal effort. Scaling wealth requires building beyond personal capacity. A business fully dependent on its founder has not truly been built. It has merely scaled individual self. The entrepreneurial flywheel gains power when systems replace personal effort, teams amplify individual vision, and capital is reinvested into growth rather than extracted. A business designed as a self-sustaining ecosystem with recurring revenue, scalable systems, and a proven model becomes the most powerful passive income engine ever. Great wealth builders throughout history understood one universal truth. Leverage of capital, team, technology, or time transforms individual effort into calculated risk paired with intellectual humility and a long-time horizon is not dangerous. It is the only reliable path to extraordinary generational financial results. Fear managed with strategy becomes courage. Courage applied with discipline becomes wealth. Wealth deployed with wisdom becomes freedom. And freedom truly owned The framework is clear. Build intelligent systems, diversify with conviction, compound with patience, manage risk with discipline, and never again let fear make your... You have arrived at a different kind of cliff. Not the paralyzing one you feared, but one you are ready to step from with clarity. The fear of losing money has not vanished. It never fully does. But you now understand it, and understanding is where transformation truly begins. You begin to see your financial life not as a minefield of risks to avoid, but as a landscape of opportunities to meet with intelligent confidence. The morning no longer begins with dread. Your investments are positioned, your systems are building, and your capital compounds quietly while you live with intention. True wealth, as the great financial thinkers noted, is largely invisible. It is not the car in the driveway. It is freedom in the calendar. Wealth is the ability to say no to what diminishes you and yes to what elevates you, structuring each day around meaning rather than urgent obligation. Every day you act with financial courage. You are not merely building a portfolio. You are building the architecture of a life on your own terms. The calculated risks you take today become the stories of freedom your children inherit tomorrow. Every disciplined decision is a letter written to your family's future. Financial legacy is not measured by the size of an estate. It is measured by the wisdom, the habits, and the fearlessness passed across generations. You now possess something the financially paralyzed never discover: the knowledge that managed risk is not a threat to security. It is the foundation of it. The version of you that woke at 3 a.m. in cold fear feels distant now, not because the world changed, but because you changed within it. Every great investor, every enduring builder, every person who achieved genuine financial freedom began exactly where you began. Face to face with The difference between that person and the one you are becoming is not talent or luck or privilege. It is one decision to act despite the fear. Wealth is not built by the fearless. It is built by those who felt fear completely, understood it deeply, and chose to move forward with discipline. Your financial freedom is not on a distant horizon. It is being built right now, one courageous, deliberate, and deeply intentional decision at a time. Begin.